Alabama's defense allowing a 75% completion rate in the last 2 weeks against Vandy and South Carolina.
That's the Norris Sellers and Diego Pavia, Joe.
Would you get the film guy on the phone for me here to explain what's going on?
Brooks Austin is the film guy. We love it when you guys give us feedback on the show, good or bad. I mean, look, we're big boys. We can take the bad. We had Brooks on a couple of weeks ago, and y'all loved Brooks coming on the show, so we're glad to get him back on again. Welcome in, Brooks. How are you today?
I'm doing well. I got to be honest. I'm glad I was accepted back because I watch the show quite often. The guest list is like nothing but superstars, as was just on display with Reese Davis. I mean, my God, man just came in here and lit it up. I mean, and then you follow up with me, and I apologize for that, boys. I'll try to live it up.
No, listen, man, we love everybody. I'll tell you, anybody that comes on and buys into the show, we love them, right? Anybody, and you've done that, so we appreciate that. You also do a lot of film breakdowns, and a lot of people love looking at it. You're close to Georgia. You cover that team on a regular basis as well as they get ready to play Texas. We just discussed this with Reese. What is missing from this Georgia team? Not that they're awful, but they're not the dominant Georgia we've seen. Where is this team missing a beat, in your opinion?
I think it showed us itself on tape. First of all, this week when I was watching Texas, first of all, they've been consistently inconsistent on both sides of the football. 1 week they're bad in one area, 1 week they're good in that area again the next. And 1 week it's a new issue, the next week it's just constantly a new thing. And going into football games, there's no predictability as to what they might struggle with. That is a sign of a really talented team that's not quite hitting on all cylinders at this point in time in the season, right? Whereas I watched that Texas film, and there's that play, right, where number 26 fumbles the ball into the end zone, and number 11, the transfer from Oregon State, runs down and makes the touchdown and falls on the ball. And he outruns like 6 or 7 Oklahoma defenders on the way to do so. But if you see the all 22 of that, if you see the coach's copy, the player that makes that play, number 11, is the furthest player from the ball carrier as he breaks into the open field. And the moment he sees him break into the open field, he is full tilt, full gas, all the way in it, running the ball and chasing the ball. The things we teach rec players to do, assuming that every play might be the play that I have to make a play, right? Not relying on other teammates, not assuming that plays are going to be made for us, but assuming that every play is mine. That's what great teams do. That's what great players do. And the very next play, Ryan Wingo, the true freshman, has an identical play on a touchdown block, running 45 yards downfield. The only reason you do it is for the one time the play breaks, right? But you do it every time, even when it doesn't. But the time that it does break, because you did it every time, you made that play. It's the assumption that every play is my play that I see right now that Texas is hitting. And granted, the schedule's been bad. But that's what they're doing really, really great right now. When I look around the world of college football, I don't see a ton of it on tape from everybody. I see a lot of assuming that my teammates are going to pick up the play.
I'm sure you have heard that Kane Womack, the defense coordinator for Alabama, is getting completely torched right now. The last 10 quarters, this defense has given up 96 points. The last 2 games, they've given up 19 of 33 on third downs. The last 10 quarters, 7 of 8 they've given up on fourth downs. When you take a look at the Alabama film defensively, what has been the biggest issue?
Yeah, I really deep dived the Vandy one. Obviously, I watched the TV copy of the South Carolina game, and there was a noticeable adjustment from what they were doing against Vandy. And I know I went viral for the man-to-man defense stuff. That was certainly a problem. They had no change-ups to what they were doing. They just kind of played base defense most of the time. But a real big problem in that football game against Vandy was they didn't even attempt to match personnel either. Like if there were 3 backs on the field and 1 tight end, Alabama didn't get heavier with personnel. If there were 2 tight ends on the field, Alabama didn't get heavier on personnel. So the idea that you're not rotating personnel was a little bit concerning to me as well in that Vandy game. You turn on that South Carolina game, and from the first snap of the football game, you can see them playing a lot of zone coverage and mixing looks. And the reason this is great, and the reason they had such success in the first half, was because now South Carolina is having to respond. Now South Carolina is getting out of their opening script. All of these offensive coordinators have an identity of what they want to do most of the time going into a football game. And when you see a team like South Carolina with a young quarterback on the road in their first possession, having to call audibles at the line of scrimmage. That means defensively, you're doing something that they didn't prepare for. That's a win off rip. I thought the performance against South Carolina was a lot better. And look, credit to where credit is due. I respect Dow Loggins. I respect what he is doing right now in terms of protecting a young quarterback. And I know South Carolina fans that might listen to this and be like, what in the heck is this guy talking about? He is doing work. He is attempting to get some things open for this offense. And eventually, if you're playing a lot of zone coverage, you're going to get beat with a zone beater eventually. And that's what happened on that 4th and 9 play, the big explosive, the lone big explosive, if my memory serves me, that South Carolina achieved in that football game. So I saw a lot of adjustments week to week from the Vandy, South Carolina football games personally.
I'm interested in where you are in Alabama's offense right now because we know how good it looked in the first half against Georgia. I think we just all excused it away because it's a big lead. You're trying to win the game, and then you made the explosive play at the end in the second half against Georgia. And then Vandy, I think we all said, well, you only had 17 minutes to perform, so we excused it away. And then there was Saturday. South Carolina, good defensive ends. What is that the reason why Alabama's offense didn't look the same this past week, or are you noticing something that all of a sudden isn't working for the Tide offense?
I'll tell you this. I don't think there's another college football program that is going to attack Alabama's offense the way that South Carolina did. For what, 19 starts now with Jalen Milroe at quarterback, the number one thing you'll hear defensive coordinators say is we can't get too far upfield. We can't aggressively get after this guy. We got to push the pocket. And basically what they're saying is we're terrified of this guy. We're terrified he's going to slip up in the pocket and take off for 45 yards. South Carolina took all that in 18 games of we're scared to rush this dude, threw it out the pocket and said, hey, we got Luke Kennard, we've got Dylan Stewart. We're going to hunt this individual for 4 quarters, and we're going to sprint to the mesh point every single time. We're going to get in wide 9 splits. We're going to stand out and stand up, and we're going to rush the hell up about this guy for 4 quarters, and we're going to see if we either live or die by the sword. And that's kind of exactly what happened in that football game. The moment time was created, right, you started to see some of those explosives in the passing game start to show up for Alabama that they rely upon in this offense. That defensive line from South Carolina is tremendous, particularly the edge rushers. Tonka Hemingway on the inside does his due diligence in terms of stopping the run and identifying eyes or at least capturing eyes from offensive linemen as well. But no, I think there's room for improvement, certainly, but they did a much better job.
Brooks Austin is with us at Brooks Austin BA. He is the film guy at Brooks Austin BA is where you follow him on social media. And he's got a YouTube link right there in his social media bio and his X bio, so you can go click on that and follow him there. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Alabama is at Tennessee, and, you know, as we talk about Alabama's defense getting maybe exposed a little bit in their adjustments, all of a sudden this Tennessee offense seems as though it has been exposed. Klatt did a really good breakdown with us on what he thinks is going on with Nico, but in a bigger picture, not that you have to be limited to that, obviously, but in a bigger picture, are defensive coordinators catching up with Josh Heupel? Is it as simple as that, or is it a little deeper in your opinion?
I don't think it's necessarily them catching up with the offense necessarily as much as it is taking advantage of the holes that offense currently has. And here's what I mean by that. For the first time in 3 years, I saw a defense in Florida dedicate bodies to the box and say, we're gonna stop the run today. And we don't care if you've got one-on-ones out there. We either think we can cover you or we don't believe you can protect long enough and actually get them completed. And guess what? That's exactly what happened in that football game. So you're starting to see, due to an inefficiency of Tennessee's offense from the ability to protect this quarterback and the ability to complete deep shots. It's both of them, right? The moment there's clean pockets, I see a young quarterback that has now gotten to the point of the season where he just assumes every pocket is dirty because 90% of them are. And then the one clean one pops up and they've got a touchdown on tape and he looks uncomfortable. I'm not going to blame that necessarily all on the quarterback. There's certainly some issues right there at the quarterback position. I don't think he's necessarily tying his eyes to his feet. He's not clicking through his reads cleanly at this point in the season. But again, I'm not expecting you to click through your reads 7 games, 8 games into your career as a college football, let alone if you've got dirty pockets. They've got a major issue right now at left tackle. Lance Hurd is certainly trying to get back and play his way into shape from an ankle injury that he had early on in the season. He is, by definition, a liability right now. And I know there's this idea that they're running the football really well. Dylan Sampson's running the football really well. This offensive line's getting blown off the football. They're not maintaining blocks. I think what you're seeing right now is an SEC coordinating staff from Florida last week basically say, they ain't beating us, guys. We're going to play chicken with them today. We're going to stop the run, and that's exactly what happened. We're going to pressurize the quarterback and cover him. And until Tennessee starts to hit those shots that presented themselves in that football game, by the way, I think this is going to be the continued approach. I don't think teams are going to be very scared of this deep passing attack right now, which is what the offense is predicated off of, running the football and throwing it over your head when you think you can stop the run with extra bodies. And right now, they can't throw it over your head.
We know Nick Sheridan, Caleb DeBoer, their offense runs through Jalen Milroe, which it should, but Milroe almost as many carries as the combination of Jam Miller and Justice Haynes. Do you think, based on what you see on film with this Alabama offensive line, if they dedicated to go to Justice and Jam, could they have success running the football?
I think that certainly has to happen, but I think there has to be more of a dedication to playing complementary football right now at Alabama, and that should be the messaging that I see, right? When the defense is gashed, giving up 17 plays, guys, we need to go out and have a drive of our own offensively, and I know we like to score 75 yards now in a blink of an eye, but our defense is sucking wind over there. Can we maintain possession for a second and actually play complementary football? The two sides have to work together. Same thing. When the offense is struggling, man, the defense got to get up off the field, right? And I think that's part of the problem right now. I mean, you go back and look at some of those football games, that 17-play drive in Vandy, defense has to go right back out. I think they give up a 10-play drive after that. You look at that Georgia game in the second half, there is no concerted effort from the offense to start burning clock via the traditional run game like you're talking about. So, yeah, I don't like to be hypercritical about certain usages because I think Kalen DeBoer is an extremely good offensive coordinator, and I would be running for his legs as much as he is right now as well. But you're right. There has to be some type of development in the run game between Jam Miller and Justice Haynes, both of which are extremely talented running backs. They do great work when they have the ball in their hands.
I looked up your senior playing weight in college, and your Parker Brailsford size. Do you have a soft spot, Parker Brailsford? Playing center. I think you played center, right? I mean, so you all even played the same spot, yeah.
Yeah, so I wish I would have found guys like Parker prior to the end of my career. I wish I would have been watching guys like Jason Kelsey a little bit more and trying to play like that. I love the way that these guys get to play. I love that their coaches are just like, oh, you're a little bit undersized, but you're a dynamic athlete. Watch us change our offense right quick. Watch us down block with guards and pull with the center because you're the best athlete of the five. I would have loved the idea that this was available to guys back in the day, but 10, 15 or 10 years ago, you kind of play what you played.
Alabama fans don't want to hear it, but is Seth McLaughlin the best center right now in football at Ohio State?
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh. That's a deep pull, man. I ain't out here grinding that many center fields right now. But
I mean, there's a lot of people that believe through the first half of the season he's played like that.
Playing great football, and I thought he played decent football at Alabama to be pretty good football. Just couldn't. The snaps were a major problem.
Right. That's big for the center, though, bro.
And truthfully, that's all he noticed too. Is that all the snaps were fantastic this past week? He's not grinding on center tape either.
He's still throwing missiles back there. That was the problem. It wasn't location. It wasn't throwing them high, throwing them low, rolling them. It was throwing rods back there to the quarterback, and he's doing the same thing right now with Will Howard. I guess Will Howard's just got better hands than Milroe. I don't know, but it's not a problem right now for Ohio State.
It has not been. All right, he is Brooks Austin. Go follow him on social media at Brooks Austin BA, YouTube as well. He does great film breakdown. All you people that love to have the game explained to you the way it really works, Brooks is doing that for you, and we always appreciate the time, Brooks. Thanks for coming back on.
No doubt, boys. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. We'll see you. Brooks with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline.